Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi washabbihi ajmain. So assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. So today we're going to learn a new topic that is chapter 7 financial statement analysis. Okay, kenapa kita tiba-tiba je belajar pasal financial statement analysis ni? Sebab since chapter 1 up to chapter 6 you all dah pun prepare full set of financial statement. That is financial statement, statement of profit and loss, and statement of financial position. So bila kita dah pun prepare semua statement itu, so now kita akan analyse dia. Sebab just by looking at the statement itself, it won't give any benefit to either to the managers nor the investors. Okay, so that's why kita perlu buat financial statement analysis. Kenapa? Because these are the main objective that are to identify the weaknesses as well as the strength of a business, to enable the business to take the appropriate steps or actions to overcome any weaknesses, and to enable the business to improve its overall financial situation in the future. Nah, sebab-sebabnya kenapa kita perlu buat financial statement analysis. So, untuk buat financial statement analysis ni, kita akan menggunakan ratio analysis. Okay, so dalam ratio analysis ni consists of three types of ratio that are liquidity ratios, efficiency ratios, and profitability ratios. So, dalam liquidity ratios ni, kita akan kira dua lagi anak dia, iaitu current ratio dan juga acid test or quick ratio. Untuk efficiency pula, kita akan kira inventory turnover ratio dan juga average collection period or debtor collection period. Untuk profitability ratio, kita ada gross profit margin and net profit margin. So basically, there are 6 types of ratio, 6 anak yang you perlu kira lah. Ibu dia and this one. Okay, you perlu tahulah ibu-ibu dia ni. So anak dia ni you perlu tahu setiap formula untuk anak-anak dia. You kena tahu formula current ratio, kena tahu formula acid test ratio. And then bila you dah pun calculate, apa dia punya, maksudnya apa yang you calculate tu, dia bawa masuk pada apa, you kena tahu. So I dah pun summarizekan dia, maksudnya tengok ni. Liquidity ratio, kalau untuk current ratio, the higher the current ratio, the better the performance of the company. Acid test ratio pun, the higher the acid test ratio, the better the performance of the company. Untuk efficiency ratio, and the inventory turnover ratio pun, the higher the inventory turnover ratio, the better the performance of the company. However, untuk average collection period, the lower the average collection period, the better the performance of the company. Ni je, the lower the better. Yang lain semua, the higher the better. Gross profit margin pun, the higher the gross profit margin, the better the performance of the company. And net profit margin pun, the higher the net profit margin, the better the performance of the company. Ni I dah pun summarizekan dia. So kerja you sekarang, you perlu ingat setiap formula. Memang kena ingat, okay? Kalau you tak ingat, you tak boleh nak jawab. So untuk chapter 7 ni, soalan dia akan keluar dalam part B, question 4. So now, jom kita tengok one by one. Liquidity ratio. First, kita akan tengok liquidity ratio. You can refer to page 195 and 196. Okay. So, liquidity ratio, this ratio measures the ability of a business to meet its current obligation when they become due. So, current obligation di sini is referring to your current liability. So, dia nak tengok, mampu tak you punya business nak bayar dia punya hutang. So, formula yang akan kita gunakan untuk current ratio ialah current asset bagi dengan current liability. Nampak ni, contoh dalam soalan, dia akan bagi current asset 15,000, current liability 7,500, and current ratio, bagi je lah current asset bagi current ratio, so 15,000 bagi 7,500, so you akan dapat 2 to 1. Or you boleh juga jawab dalam 2 times. Maksud dia, apa ni? Indicates the ability of a business to repay its current liabilities when they become due. If the current ratio is 2 to 1, this means that for every 1 ringgit of current liability, the firm has 2 ringgit of current asset to repay that 1 ringgit of liability. Sebab tu, I cakap the higher the current ratio, the better the performance of the company. Maksudnya, company tu boleh bayar dia punya hutang. So baguslah, sebab tu kita perlukan banyak. Kita perlukan current ratio yang tinggi untuk company kita. Supaya kita dapat membayar semua hutang-hutang kita on time. Okay. So you akan tahulah macam mana nak. Ni you akan tahu maksud apa this means ni. Ayat-ayat ni kena tahu sebab dalam final pun dia ada tanya. Okay. You akan tahu this one. Itulah. So now kita pergi pada acid test or quick ratio. Untuk formula acid test or quick ratio ni, membezakan dia ialah this one, inventory dan juga prepayment. You can tolak. Kan kalau current ratio, current asset bagi dengan current liability. Untuk acid test or quick ratio, you current asset tu you can tolak dengan inventory dan juga tolak dengan prepayment. Why? Because inventory and prepayment is the least liquidity asset. Maksudnya, susah untuk you convertkan dia kepada duit. That's why kita tolak. So sebab kita nak tengok kita punya business ni mampu tak nak bayar hutang ni dengan lebih cepat. Dia ada dekat sini. A better measure of liquidity than the current ratio. Because it does not take into account the inventory of the business, which is the least liquid kind of current asset. The prepayments are deducted because they are considered to be less liquid and generally will not be converted into cash. Sebab tu kita tolak inventory dan juga prepayment. So, it tells that the ability of a business to repay its current liability using its liquid asset. Maksud dalam emergency, mampu tak kita bayar? Sebab sekarang ni kita dah tolak dah semua kita punya inventory. Sebab kita rasa inventory ni tak mampu untuk convert duit kepada company tu secepat yang mungkin. Sebab tu kita tolak awal-awal inventory dan juga kita tolak prepayment. Prepayment tu macam you punya deposit lah. So contoh dia pay expenses. Okay, so prepayment ni you punya prepaid expenses lah. Contoh prepaid expenses you ialah rental prepaid expense. Kini you bayar awal kan. So kita kenapa dia cakap dia kat sini deducted because they are considered to be less liquid and generally will not be converted into cash. You akan dapat balik tak you punya rental tu? Takkan kan? That's why kita terus tolak. So kita memang untuk quick test ni kita memang nak tengok betul-betul cash yang kita ada tu. Cash saja kita tengok. Okay. So cara you nak buat. Okay, dia kata kat sini. Example kat sini dia kata. Current asset 15,000 ni include inventory 3,500 and current liability you ada 7,500. So, current ratio untuk acid test or quick ratio equal to 15,000 tolak dengan 13,500. Sebab itulah you akan dapat 11,500. So bagi je dengan current liability. So settle untuk you punya liquidity ratio. Liquidity ratio consists of current ratio dan juga acid test or quick ratio. formula dia current ratio, current asset bagikan dengan current liability. Acid test ratio, current asset minus inventory minus prepayment divide with your current liability. So dapat jawapan dia, the higher the better. The higher the current ratio, the better the performance of the business. Sebab dia menunjukkan mampu untuk membayar hutang. Company tu mampu membayar hutang on time. Okay. So next kita akan tengok kepada efficiency ratios. This ratio measure the efficiency of a business in managing its asset to generate revenue. Kalau tadi, dia measure company punya to meet its current obligation, untuk bayar hutang. Sekarang ni kita nak tengok efficiency of the business untuk convertkan dia punya asset kepada revenue. So, asset kat sini is referring to your inventory. Efficient tak kita dalam kita manage kita punya inventory. Okay. So, kita pun akan menggunakan dua jenis ratio, iaitu inventory turnover ratio dan juga average collection period. So, untuk inventory turnover ratio, dia punya formula cost of sales divide with average inventory. Untuk kira average inventory, cara kira dia, you akan ambil opening inventory plus dengan closing inventory bahagi 2. Ataupun 1/2 darabkan opening inventory tambah closing inventory, sama lah. Okay. Okay, so dia pun bagi contoh. Opening inventory dia ada 25,000. Lepas tu purchase 50,000. So closing inventory you ada 15,000 and cost of sale you dapat 60,000. So inventory turnover kan cost of sales minus divide with average inventory. So average inventory opening tambah closing bagi 2. So you akan dapatlah 25,000 tambah 15,000 bagi 2, you akan dapat 20,000. So jawapan dia 3 times. Okay. So it indicates how many times of the inventory has to be replaced within an accounting period. In this case, 3 times. It gives an idea of how fast the goods are being sold. The higher the inventory turnover figure, the better it is for the business. A reduction in inventory turnover means that inventory may be piling up and not being sold. This could lead to a liquidity crisis as money may be taken out of the bank to buy inventory which is not sold quickly enough. Okay, maksud dia 3 kali ni dalam masa setahun, company tu perlu tukar dia punya accounting period sebanyak 3 kali setahun. Sebab tu saya kata, semakin banyak dia punya inventory turnover, semakin bagus. Sebab maksudnya dalam masa setahun, dia kena top up 3 kali. Maksudnya 12 bagi 3, so 4 bulan. Dalam masa 4 bulan, inventory dia memang akan habis dijual. Okay, sebab tu kalau semakin tinggi, semakin bagus inventory turnover ratio dia. So maksud a reduction in inventory turnover means the inventory may be piling up. Maksudnya contoh kalau kita kira-kira inventory turnover kita dapat 1. Maksudnya 1 tu dalam masa setahun baru semua inventory dia terjual. Maksudnya company tu akan ada overstocking. Dia tak dapat nak convert dia inventory kepada cash. Sebab tu dia kata this could lead to a liquidity crisis sebab tak dapat nak convert kepada duit. Which is not so quickly enough. Itulah maksud inventory turnover. Kalau untuk average collection period, you akan tahu ialah first the formula, average collection period equal to account receivable divide with credit sales times with 365. Ni dalam hari lah, in days. This is credit sales only. You must not include the cash sales. So kalau example ni kata okay, cash sales dia bagi 1 million, credit sales 1.2 million and account receivable is 90,000. So how to calculate the average collection period? You only take the Kita akan ambil account receivable bagi dengan credit sales. So 90,000 divided with 1.2 million times with 365. So we will get 27 days. So apa maksud 27 days ni? It represent the length of time of business undertakes to collect money from its debtor. Sebab tu kalau untuk average collection period, the lower the better. Maksudnya semakin, ini dalam masa 27 hari baru kita boleh dapat kita punya cash daripada account receivable kita. Sebab sekarang kita nak dapat duit dengan cara yang cepat. So kita perlu mengurangkan kita punya average collection period. So the shorter the period, the better it is for the business in terms of its liquidity. If debts are not collected on time, the business may not have enough cash resources to operate. From the example, the business take 27 days to collect debts from its account receivable. Almost 1 bulan juga lah. Lepas 1 bulan baru dia akan dapat duit. So now kita akan tengok the last ratio, that is profitability ratio. These ratios measure the performance of a business during an accounting period. Nak measure performance business tu. So kita akan ada gross profit margin dan juga net profit margin. So gross profit margin kita akan ambil gross profit divided with sales times with 100. So kalau based on the example, kita kira gross profit margin equal to gross profit divided with sales times with 100. So you akan dapat 20% untuk 20S2. Whereas untuk 20S3, again you akan ambil gross profit 1000 divided by 800 and times with 100. So you will get 12.5%. So 20S2, for every 1 ringgit of sales, RM20 gross profit was made before any expenses were paid. And untuk 20S3, for every 1 ringgit of sales, RM12.50 gross profit was made before any expenses were paid. So maksudnya you dapat untuk RM100 sales you akan dapat RM20 gross profit. Maksudnya sebelum you bayar expenses semua tu, you dah ada RM20. So sebab tu, the higher the better. Semakin tinggi you punya gross profit margin, semakin baguslah performance of your business. So the amount of sales increases, but the gross profit margin has fallen by relatively greater amount. Tengok ni, sales untuk 20S2 dengan 20S3, sales dia meningkat. Tapi dia punya gross profit margin menurun. So kenapa? Because the cost of goods increase while the selling price remain unchanged. And in order to increase sales, selling price was being reduced. So sebab tu walaupun sales dia meningkat, tak bermaksud you punya performance of the business is good. That's why we need to calculate the gross profit margin. So next we're going to calculate the net profit margin. To calculate the net profit margin, you need to take the net profit divide with sales and times by 100. Contoh, okay, net profit margin, you can ambil net profit bagikan dengan sales times with 100, so you will get 10%. Untuk 20S3, you ambil RM500 divide with 8,000 and times with 100, you will get the RM16.25. So the indication here is that for 20S2, for every RM100 of sales, RM10 net profit was made after any expenses were paid. Net profit kan sebab kita dah tolak gross profit, kita akan tolak dengan expenses, and then kita akan dapat net profit. Sebab itulah dia punya indication dia selepas expenses dah dibayar, so inilah dia punya net profit yang you akan dapat untuk setiap RM100 of your sales. Kalau gross, sebelum kita bayar any expenses. Okay. So 20x3, for every RM100 of sales, RM16.25 net profit was made after any expenses were paid. This ratio reveals how far costs are covered by revenue and what is available to the owner of a business after considering all expenses incurred for a particular accounting period. So nak comparekan dengan gross profit dan juga net profit ni lebih more accurate lah, sebab dia memang dah tolak dengan you punya expenses. So sebanyak tu lah you akan dapat you punya net profit. So that's all untuk chapter 7. So you ada pun boleh buat past year question. Part B, question 4. Thank you. Bye. Assalamualaikum.